There's so many things that Amazon's done to protect itself. Amazon doesn't even show the order details in an email address anymore because they're afraid Google will replicate the model and go build Amazon 2.0.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I've got an amazing guest mentor lined up for you today, and he's going to talk to us all about Amazon. I'd love to welcome Stephen Pope, the My Amazon guy, to the podcast. Welcome, Stephen.
Hey, Jason, thanks for having me on.
We were talking off air that you've got the most amazing saltwater fish tank setup behind you there. And I asked, it was so amazing looking. I was wondering if it was a fake background of some variety, but no, you said this is the real deal.
I could feed the fish for you if you'd like, but there's a lot of fun fish in there. We got a couple of clownfish, Nemos. We got a dory, blue tang right there, an emperor angel on the side, some yellow foxfish. It's been a lot of fun building out the aquarium.
You're going to have been at this Amazon game for a long time. You CEO of My Agency guy for the last 11 months, but for the last almost 13 years, you founded and are leading an Amazon full service marketing agency. So clearly Amazon is in your blood.
I might have to wonder if there's some Jeff Bezos DNA in there because I lost my hair like he did. A little concerned about it, but all I have to say is God bless the trash man that takes away those brown boxes with smiley faces on them, because I would be in trouble if we didn't have somebody to take those boxes.
It's crazy. I never used to be a big Amazon buyer because I lived in New Zealand for almost 30 years. And Amazon's just not big in New Zealand. They don't have a warehouse in New Zealand. They ship everything from Australia, and they've only become big in Australia in the last 5 years, really. Amazon just was not a big part of daily life in Australia and New Zealand. That's slowly changing, of course, and they've started to do a lot of Prime deals and shipping deals from Australia to New Zealand, so they're definitely starting to make some headways down there. But I tell you, now that I live in Mexico, and I've been living here for almost a year and a half now, and we're just in the process of kitting out our townhouse, I tell you, I've done more shopping on Amazon since I've been here in Mexico than I ever did collectively in all of my life before that. And you can literally buy almost anything you need.
You can buy pretty much anything on Amazon, from unicorn meat to a car and anything in between. But the nice thing is that the consumer journey has been predicated on speed and cost. That's what a marketplace has been created. If you go look at eBay, you'll see an auction-based system, and it was crazy, and there's millions of listings, and there's 1,000 of the same item sold 1,000 different ways. But Amazon brought it all together. But I think a lot of people may not realize this, but Amazon really started out as a logistics company, not a marketplace. And a bookseller out of a garage over in Seattle, sure, maybe people know about that story, but they went and built hundreds of FBA facilities around the country, and the benefit to the consumer has been immense. 2-day Prime, next day Prime, same day Prime. Things aren't fast enough, let me drone over something to your house over in the next 2 hours. That's been a beautiful customer journey. On the same side, the seller journey has been left by the wayside. And that's really where I've come in and set up shop, because the sellers are not helped at all by Amazon. In fact, we're getting attacked on the left by the Chinese with hijacking and attacks. And on the right, we've got a lot of investment groups coming in and buying up shops and trying to make it harder and spending more money. So you got higher competition from the left and the right. And then on the top, you're getting squeezed down by Amazon because their policies just don't make sense. They make it harder and harder to sell on the platform. That's been the journey for a seller. The buyer experience, seamless. The seller experience is completely the opposite.
And we've got three different components as I see it. And look, I'm not the Amazon expert, and I'll be the first to admit that. I work primarily in the tech and operational side of B2B e-commerce, specifically cut my teeth in B2C and D2C e-commerce for many years before drilling down and specializing in B2B e-commerce. But as I see it, there's three main areas where merchants really struggle with Amazon. These are the three areas where I would not know even where to start. And that is how to even get my listings into Amazon in the first place, my organic listings, get them listed, fulfill all the requirements around product data, structured data, description data, shipping data, all that stuff, making sure that I fulfill all the requirements and rules that Amazon asks of me to be a successful seller out of the gate on a seller account. That's the first thing. Then I wouldn't know the next step after that. If I wanted to do some paid and performance marketing on the Amazon marketplace, wouldn't know where to start with that. Wouldn't know where to start with running ads. Wouldn't know how to drive traffic to both my listings as well as my store on Amazon. And then finally, if I was in the B2B space, I would have no idea how to decide whether I'm going to aim for Amazon being a first-party seller of my goods or whether I'm going to be a third-party seller. But it feels that if you put one foot wrong, Amazon can either cancel your account, kill it off, effectively shadow ban it to where your
True.
listings fall down the list. And it feels like it's a minefield to do everything right, even if you want to do everything right. It
Yes.
feels like a minefield to do everything right by Amazon standards to create that amazing customer experience that you just referred to.
Amazon is the most transparent company in the world. They show the seller exactly what you're supposed to do. They give you the playbook, soup to nuts, A to Z, and they tell you exactly how to file the paperwork. Unfortunately, none of that is true. And it's very difficult dealing with the system that Jeff Bezos has set up. Now, it's a very much a shoot first, ask questions later setup. And that means that if you do make one wrong mistake, you're dead in the water. Now, having said that, and I do want to go into the details of some of those challenges and how you can work around them, but I briefly want to mention that it's still worth doing. I'm obviously going to be biased to say this. I'm my Amazon guy. Like, I'm an agency. I want to help Amazon sellers. But if you look at it, 86% of the United States households are Prime members. And there is no greater marketplace in the United States, maybe even North America at this stage, since you're down in Mexico enjoying the same benefits, to sell something as quick as you want. So if you go set up a D2C shop, it might take you months to get things going, but you could be successful on Amazon in about 6 weeks. Fully baked, fully set up. You could be at 50K a month in sales. It's not passive income. It's very difficult. It's a real business model.
It's not that hard, Scott. Tell him, Wash.
It's incredibly hard.
But there are some difficulties that you can overcome to make it worthwhile. Going into those difficulties, step one, opening up a Seller Central account or an application, you need to make sure you never put in your email address that's ever been in Amazon before. So new email address, a bank account, a credit card, none of the things that are attached to your personal account should be attached to the seller account. And if you do that, they may just close you down. Step one.
When you're first starting out on Amazon, do you recommend that you do FBA, like out of the gate, always do FBA? As I understand it, I've been reading some of the furor over Amazon starting to charge fees. They're charging you to receipt items into FBA before where they didn't, maybe historically, that basically across the board, their fees for managing infrastructure, for managing logistics, for managing, helping to manage your listings, basically their fee structure across the board, not just their success fees, seller success fees, but actually just to integrate and do business with Amazon. They're basically trying to not only cover their costs, but they're trying to make those individual profit centers. They're the masters at turning cost centers into profit centers. That's why Amazon exists. And that's why AWS exists. And that's why so many other business lines of Amazon exist, because they're masters at turning cost centers into profit centers. And I love that you said, and I always believed this, I always believed that Amazon was just a gigantic global logistics company with a pretty face on it, a pretty e-commerce. And I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head. And even they have admitted on the B2B side of things, particularly in Europe, that they are way behind the eight ball. They want to meet every B2B demand possible out there in terms of physical goods, but even they admit their infrastructure, which has been designed around B2C and D2C, is not ready to cope with the volumes of cartons, pallets, and containers in the B2B world. Would you recommend typically that new sellers on Amazon go straight to FBA, let Amazon make that fulfillment promise effectively on your behalf so that you can qualify?
FBA is a no-brainer. It's very important to be doing FBA because of one reason and one reason alone: Optimus Prime. You must have that Prime badge. That's going to triple your sales. 8 years ago, I was selling rice cookers for 2 cents a click, PPC, position number, spot number one, FBM. And I got away with it 8 years ago, but it's 2024. Everybody's using Prime. There's no reason why I'm going to buy your rice cooker that's not Prime, that takes me a week to get, that you're drop shipping because whatever, when I can get a 2-day, same day, next day, whatever, Prime purchase. I think it's just really critically important to point out that the consumer will automatically shop by Prime. 86% of households are Prime members. Absolutely need to do Prime. It's still worth doing it with all the fees. Now, the fees are squeezing margins. There's no question about it. Amazon historically has been about a 1/3 partner. That means for every $100 in gross top line revenue, they're taking somewhere around $30 to $35 of that from you. Inclusive of that is a 15% referral fee in most categories, advertising, and logistics costs. Fun fact for you, you mentioned AWS. AWS is no longer Amazon's biggest profit center. Amazon advertising has surpassed that. They're making more money on ads, digital clicks, than they are making housing data in 2024, which is insane if you think about. And that just tells you the power of the click right now. And click-through rate is incredibly important on Amazon. It's the fastest way to grow sales right now, because if there's no more room for ads, which there isn't, they're going to have to make a lot of changes. Google's had demographic targeting for a decade or longer. Amazon only lets you target by keyword or by product. And so we're going to probably see in the next 2 years, firm prediction, in the next 2 years, Amazon's going to give us demographic targeting, and that's going to be a game changer because there's no more places to put the ads. Amazon's making a lot of money on sellers right now, whether it's on the logistics fees, but that's table stakes, in my opinion. They're making a killing on advertising, and that's really where they're making their most money right now.
So they want to increase the ad inventory that is available for them to
They
sell.
have to.
Because if they increase the inventory, that increases sales of ads. And they're now the number 3 ad network in the United States, behind Google and behind Meta. They're now number 3. And this has all happened in the span of 5 years. It's just mental to think about the fact that you can go from not having an ad network to being number 3 in the world in less than a decade. That is just crazy. And then the second thing that I'll speak to is the fact that I find myself doing exactly what you just said. So when I do a search on Amazon, the first thing I do is go straight to the filters and filter by Prime and filter by Entrega Gratis, which is free shipping. That's the first filter I apply, except for during Prime Day, which is happening right now. It's a 4 or 5 day or whatever it is. Prime. I don't know why they call it Prime Day. It's basically Prime Week. The first filter that I apply now is Prime Day promotions. And then the second one that I apply is Prime Entrega Gratis, free shipping. It's crazy how this whole Prime thing has just absolutely altered buyer behavior.
Let's establish that Amazon is a monopoly. It's half the economy. And usually monopolies are bad for consumers, normally. Oil monopolies, railroad monopolies, and car monopolies. And we could go on and on about all the monopolies in American political history. This is one of the very first times that a monopoly has been good for the consumer. Now, how long it's good for the consumer is debatable. There's always a tipping point. Maybe the monopoly gets too big and there's not enough competition. And right now, the only competition that Amazon has coming up on their 6 is Temu and TikTok. And for heaven bid, if that's the savior, because I don't really want to work for the Chinese, like at all. That's a scary thing to think about. But we have some competition that's up and coming. The power of video is something that Amazon has not figured out how to tap yet at all. And the TikTok nation that we're living in, those are the platforms that are up and coming and potentially able to take a notch out of the monopoly. Target is a sleeper. That one has some power that I think they've been able to take their retail infrastructure and integrate it to their online presence. Walmart couldn't do that. Walmart bought Jet and couldn't do jack crap with it. And Walmart will never be a marketplace. It will always be a retailer that masquerades as a marketplace. But when you think about it, I could name to you right now dozens of brands that are native born on Amazon. I couldn't name a single one brand that's been born on Walmart. And the reason for that is because Walmart is gating the search results and they're putting retail on top. So nobody that organically launches on Walmart can chase that. You're just getting the sloppy leftovers. So that's like the demographical, political spectrum situation we're experiencing right now on Amazon. But at the end of the day, the consumer has won to this stage: faster shipping, lower costs. Those are two things that have made Amazon great. Now, what does the future hold for us? Perhaps product selection, perhaps even lower costs. Maybe the Chinese go direct to consumer like they're doing on Temu and TikTok. The downside to that, though, is customer service is going to go down. The downside is that the product quality will absolutely go down because they don't care about quality or customer care. They only care about their penny profits.
I think one of the reasons why Amazon is in the top 3 major retailers in Mexico. When we think about the major retailers with major retail infrastructure and major warehousing and major delivery capabilities in this country, it's really the big 3. It's Amazon, Mercado Libre, and Coppel. They're a pretty big player here. Mercado Libre, of course, born in LATAM. They are a huge marketplace. I've tried to create an account with them online, and it failed every single time. Their requirements around providing ID and all sorts of other things and hoops you've got to jump through. I've never successfully created an account on Mercado Libre, despite the fact that I've tried about 3 or 4 times. Amazon has reduced the amount of friction to create an account. And in fact, I can use my same account that I originally created in New Zealand. I can use that same account on other marketplaces and just re-authenticate into those other Amazon locales, those other Amazon domains. I can get into Amazon MX just using that one account, which is fantastic. It makes it nice and easy. I think the other thing Amazon has going for them, particularly in areas outside of the US, is trust. I automatically trust that if I order something off of Amazon, they will get it to me. That sounds easy, but in a country like Mexico or in other countries within LATAM, where not all addresses are street addresses, sometimes they're literally walkway addresses. If you've got a hillside of houses and there's very few streets, these houses oftentimes have addresses that are part of a sidewalk. I'm not quite sure how Amazon has done it, but they must have some sort of Uber-like app where they've got all these independent contractors that come and pick up stuff from their warehouses and get it into their local neighborhood, because the way that they can find your address, despite the fact that addressing here is an absolute shambles, is phenomenal. And I will trust every single time that Amazon will get an item to my door, and those drivers will reach out to you via WhatsApp if they can't find you, so that you can share your real-time location with them, and they will follow on WhatsApp directly to your doorstep if they get stuck getting something to you.
I think that Amazon's logistics has really been its secret sauce. We can also talk about data and the power of that. And there's no question in my mind that the CIA is embedded in Alexa and using that data, and they're probably making billions doing that as well. There is no question that Amazon has figured out how to get something from point A to point B. They own the entire vertical, just like all monopolies historically have gone through and bought up the distribution, have bought up the production, have bought up everything that leaves from point A to B, and how all that occurs. That's what Amazon was able to achieve. You can buy a good in China and pay Amazon to ship it into their own facilities, pay Amazon to distribute it, pay Amazon to sell it, pay Amazon to ship it all the way to the end point. And it will never have left anything except the Amazon ecosystem. That's pretty insane considering the worldwide distribution vertical control that we're discussing here. I'm impressed with what Bezos has pulled off. Most people don't know who the new CEO of Amazon is.
Nobody knows his name. Nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody does care. However, I will say this. Amazon has made more profits with Andy in the chair, and that's probably why they're raising fees on sellers and making it harder. And so the stockholders right now are killing it. They're having a good time. And too bad I didn't just put all of my money that I've made selling on Amazon into Amazon stocks, because I'd be pretty happy right now.
Do you think that you've mentioned TikTok, and I want to dig a little bit deeper into the content side? It feels like Amazon, just like they were late to the party on ads, they've been late to the party on short video, the content blended with commerce journey. I can't tell you the number of times I've had to search on Amazon for a product. Then when I find the product that I want to buy or potentially want to buy, I then have to go off Amazon. I've got to go to Google, or I've got to go to YouTube. I've got to search for the product. I've got to look for a review of that product. Or I've got to look for a comparison. Like, for example, I remember when I was buying an air filter here for a whole home air filter here, the Amazon content around this was absolutely atrocious. It was basically non-existent. When I had to look for a air filter comparison 2024, I had to look through the page, the comparison page. I had to watch the embedded YouTube videos comparing each of these products before I could make my buying decision and then go back to Amazon and actually execute the transaction. Now, at any point, Amazon could have lost that transaction if, in the process of doing my research, I could have found a better deal, a faster deal, a safer deal, or even a referral code that would have taken me back to Amazon and maybe gotten me a discount and maybe gotten a referral clip of the ticket for the referrer, which means slightly less money in Amazon's back pocket, all because they haven't integrated the whole content and commerce experience together yet. And they've got Twitch, they've got other properties on the internet, and they've got, in theory, in some markets, as I've heard, I've never seen it, but as I've heard, they support live streaming for sellers in certain markets. I think in the US market, they support it, but apparently that's not available to every seller. There's some
only iPhones. No Android users. Screw you, Android users.
Even the sellers, as I understand it, you have to have certain qualifications to even be able to run a live stream. What do you see ahead? Because Amazon is not going to allow that opportunity to hemorrhage sales to other content platforms. Really? Do you think that they will continue to run that risk?
Here's the reason why they haven't embraced content. They're afraid of giving you access to the customer. The seller today doesn't have access to the customer. You can't just send a message to your buyer. Like over the years, you used to be able to send emails to ask for reviews, and that got gamified so hard they cut it off. And 75% of buyers have just completely opted out of all seller communication whatsoever because it was so spammy. Then you had people that try to get around the system and send letters after you've purchased an item saying, we'll give you something for free and but you got to write a review. That got banned and outlawed. There's so many things that Amazon's done to protect itself, but you're right, at the cost of the customer journey in this one area. And that's because they make it so hard to make claims on the content. You can't say you cure cancer. Obviously, most people can't say that, but you can't even come close to mentioning words. Even if you're suffering from cancer and you want this blanket to make you feel comfortable, you can't even mention that cancer patients would find this blanket comfortable without risk of your listing being yanked for a health claim. Last week it was, oh, you mentioned a flower seed because of the scent in your beauty cream. Oh, you sell seeds. We're gating that seed category now. I don't sell seeds. I sell a lotion that has a raspberry scent and some pomegranate or whatever. Pesticides was another one. That one happened 4 years ago. It still happens today. You mentioned a word that triggered our bot that says that you sell pesticides. I don't sell pesticides. I sell tumblers, right? Like stupid crap like that. And I got so frustrated, so passionate about it that I decided to give out the answer key to the test that you had to take to prove you are okay to sell pesticides in the United States. Even though you don't sell a pesticide, you have to pass this test.
Quick reminder, if you're finding this video helpful, please like it and subscribe to my Amazon guy for more insights. Now, back to the video.
So those are the weird things that Amazon has done at the cost of the consumer journey as it relates to content. This is also why they're losing on video content, because they're afraid of what Pandora's box will open. Amazon doesn't even show the order details in an email address anymore because they're afraid Google will replicate the model and go build Amazon 2.0. That's why you don't see content delivery mechanisms or systems from Amazon to the customer. They're afraid that their data will be taken over and leveraged.
You just answered a question for me that I have had for ages that I had no idea why this was. I hate the fact that Amazon will send me an email on the day that my packet is meant to be delivered, and all it does is show a beige box. It doesn't even have the order ID. It's freaking nuts. It's embedded in the image. The link is embedded in the image, and it's encrypted. Let's say I've ordered 50 items, which recently I have because I'm outfitting a new house. I have to click on the button. I have to go
Log
to
into Amazon.
I have to authenticate to even see which item is
Not
actually
even
going to be
worth it.
delivered on that day.
It's not even worth it. It's really stupid. The seller app or the buyer app is one way to get around that. The customer assistance from that content mechanism has been lost. And I think Amazon recognizes it, but they've made their pros and cons list and they've decided for whatever reason, it's not worth it. They'd rather have full monopoly control at the cost of user experience. At some point, we'll see monopoly value and customer experience. And once that teeters to a certain point, and then all of a sudden the customer experience is below the value of the monopoly, that's when you'll see a competitor come in and clean them out. And this will be their Kodak moment. And it will be around this content journey.
Yeah, because I just can't see a world where content is king, queen, and bishop. I go to TikTok even to see reviews of products and to see demos of products. Maybe I go to Instagram for that. Maybe I go to YouTube for that. Actually, for me personally, YouTube is probably the first place I go to see reviews of product or to see demos of products or to see behind the scenes of products or to see products compared or whatever it might be.
Normally what I would do is I would just buy 3 filters, try them out, and then send 2 back.
Yeah, and see, I don't want to have that hassle, especially here in Mexico, where I'm probably going to have some sort of fee attached to it. It's going to be hard for them to maybe even pick up things for me, etc.
You have to get it right the first time, and that makes sense. But the U.S. consumer does not, which is
That's
why
the
the system is probably solvent for now because of that great return rates.
In the States, they're also 12 months. In Mexico, it's 30 days.
They're not supposed to go over 30 days in the US, but they allow it. You have to complain or contact Amazon directly to get the authorization, but every single time they've allowed it. One time I had a battery charger that stopped working 7 months later, and they 100% let me replace it.
I recently had a set of earbuds that failed that I bought off of Amazon, and they failed. It's a Chinese brand, but they apparently had very good reviews. I did do my research before I bought it, but it failed, I think, in the 40th day or maybe the 50th day or something like that, and I went through Amazon Mexico, and they said, sorry, can't help you. You're going to have to go to the manufacturer. And it was like, and then I went to the manufacturer and they said, you need to go back through Amazon. And I was like,
Yep.
hang on a
Yeah,
second.
that's the other bad consumer experience that we're starting to see as well.
So this is becoming a thing.
100% is. And if you press hard enough on either one of those sides, they'll eventually cave. But
Yes.
their default policies are not congruent with good customer experience.
Yeah, no, I had to go through these guys and I basically had to threaten them with bad reviews. And this is a brand new set that I finally got, but it took me a month of haggling and emails and messages to the seller via Amazon, and then communication, direct email with the manufacturer. It was probably 10 communications backwards and forwards all up before they finally agreed to send me a new one. I had to send them photos. I had to send them video of the failed products. The amount of hoops I had to jump through, it was probably not even worth my time, to be honest, at the end of the day. I probably should have
That's why
paid
they
for
do
a
it.
brand new set.
A lot of people would just buy the new set and then use the return on the new set and send the old
Yes.
one back. And that's the shitty thing that happens to the next guy that gets that return.
When you first start working with a brand who, let's say they do D2C today, let's say they got, I don't know, let's say they got a Shopify site. They sell homewares or whatever it is, or clothing or whatever it is that they sell. Most of the merchants that come to you, are they starting up selling goods for the very first time and they want to start on Amazon, or are they usually successful D2C brands or B2C brands that now want to expand into the Amazon channel and they need your help to do it?
And if there's 50,000 accounts opened up every month, 80% of those accounts won't exist or continue past 12 months. That's a pretty big drop-off rate. A lot of them don't even succeed in launching their products. There's a lot of challenges. For an agency of my size, I'm now the market leader. I own almost $1 billion in annual gross on the Amazon platform. Our ICP has shifted. We've gone upstream, but we're still king of SMB. I barely have any bin market deals today, even though we're qualified to manage them. And it's just because of my style where I speak and say things how it is, where the mid-market wants to go with the safe pick and the smaller growth option and the pretty PowerPoint. And I indict a lot of that and I speak the truth of what it's like to deal with Amazon. Because of that, our ICP's gone to the middle of that road, where it's somebody who is amazing at sourcing product or making product, whether they're a manufacturer, an inventor, or really good at sourcing, but they stink at marketing. So my ideal customer profile is typically a male who's between age 35 and 50, who has $40,000 to $100,000 in monthly sales on Amazon today, but they may not have A+ content. They may not even have a brand store built yet. They may not even run ads. And those people, we come in and we triple their sales in the first 90 days routinely, because all we do is run our basic marketing playbook and then they shoot off. And they've never worked with an agency before. They have no idea that their agencies are even existing out there. Those are the people that we slam dunk help all day long. There's also another consumer out there that just goes and tries to do everything themselves. They're a one-man band. They're okay at sourcing. They're okay at marketing. And they watch 20 of my videos on YouTube. And then at some point they get stuck and they're like, screw Amazon. This is getting so hard. I need help. And then they'll come to us and we'll level them up. Those are the kind of the customer sets that we see. I'll tell you right now, what I don't see a lot of is the D2C companies begging to go launch on Amazon. I've bought lists of hundreds of thousands of emails. We'll send cold emails to the D2C shops, the Shopifys of the world, and we'll say, hey, you're crushing it on Shopify. You ever thought about launching on Amazon? And we'll get crickets. We'll just get flat out no response. That's an ICP I'm trying to crack right now. And if you guys listening to this are D2C right now doing your thing and you're not on Amazon and you still don't want to launch on Amazon, but you just want to tell me why, I would love to hear from you. Email me at podcast@myamazonguy.com so I can understand your hesitation, so I can figure out how to crack that on a marketing scale. Some of the things that I do believe is that people think they can make more money on D2C versus Amazon. What I see from my side, and I'm biased, I'm my Amazon guy, but the conversion rate on a Shopify site might be 1 or 2 percentage points, but on Amazon, it's 8 to 12. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to be on Amazon where the conversion rate is 4 or 6x? Also, the advertising costs on Amazon are lower. The A cost is 30, 35, where you can get 1 to 3 return on your money spending on Amazon. And if you use Google or Facebook, you can't get those sort of returns, let alone the conversion rate going D2C. I scratch my head and I don't understand why some D2Cs don't want to get on Amazon, but maybe more than I do on that particular topic.
I think probably, and look, I'm making some assumptions here, but I think that yes, wall hack costs in the D2C world are much, much higher than they are on Amazon in aggregate. I think what most D2C brands think is, hey, at least I've then got my customer data. At least I can remarket to them. At least then I have a chance of retaining them as a repeat customer without having to pay the acquisition cost over and over again with every single sale. So whilst, yeah, sure, while CAC costs are through the roof and while conversion rates might be on average globally around 3% across D2C and B2C brands, direct selling channels, they think that the benefit of having all their customer data, being able to remarket to them via email marketing, SMS, etc., by being able to retarget them across the ad networks, and by being able to build strong customer cohorts and segments that they then can target additional customers that look like those customers easily, because the D2C ecosystem from a technology perspective is very mature. And as a result of that, I think they think those benefits outweigh the higher one-time initial conversion rate and maybe even the lower CAC costs through Amazon. I think that what they think is, and the mentality is that Amazon is a frenemy, and one of two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to have to pay for every single sale through Amazon, I'm going to be paying that effectively acquisition cost because Amazon's the one driving the traffic, they're the one driving the sales, and I'm really just the benefactor of all those efforts, those marketing efforts that they're doing out in the market. And then secondarily, I think their second biggest fear is, well, Amazon has access to all of its own sales data. And if I do a really good job evangelizing this product, this category, this vertical, or this product, or this individual item, they're either going to clone me out of existence with an Amazon-based
FTC
equivalent.
lawsuit agrees with you, by the way.
Oh, okay. Or they're going to go direct to that manufacturer and they're going to be a 1P seller of this product in competition with me because they see that it's a big enough opportunity for them to sweat the effort of becoming a 1P seller of that product. And so I think, at least from the scuttlebutt I'm hearing from the industry, those are probably the two biggest concerns that they have.
I think those are pretty valid. That 15% referral fee that you don't have to pay on the website, that's that pay every time you acquire that customer. You got me on that one. One of the interesting things, though, is that on the search algorithm, every PPC sale that you pay for, you'll get and earn 3 organic sales over 6 months. And this one usually is enlightening, right? I saw the eyebrow go up there. You may not get it with Google, but you definitely get it with Amazon. And so this is a performance that just pays over time. And so there's some value to that. I was the number one brand for the term wine glass on Amazon, right? And I sell tumblers, I sell wine glasses. One day I woke up, I was around Valentine's Day a couple of years ago. Amazon had banned my product from ads, which was a kill shot for my item. I'm not drinking alone, I'm social distancing wine glass. And they're like, oh, you can't say drink on a wine glass anymore. That's pro-alcoholism, and we won't allow you to advertise that on our platform. One day I woke up to that, and within 7 days, my item went from organic rank number 1 down to organic rank number 40, and I lost 80% of my sales. So the ads were propelling me to the top organic spot for the term wine glass, and that was generating me $100,000 a year in revenue. And it was just an amazing treat, if you will. So I've seen a lot of interesting challenges as it relates to advertising, and the costs are going up and the fees are going up. And those are true statements. But the power and the reason the advertising costs keep going up is because it's still worth the acquisition and that reoccurring ranking and the algorithm juice that you get, because it really is a marketplace that rewards sales. So that brings us to an ultimate statement. On Amazon, you need sales to get sales. And that's a weird circular chicken or egg logic question, but that's the power of Amazon ads that leads to additional organic sales. So that's one of the things I really love. So hopefully some D2C brands listening to this might warm up a little bit to Amazon because they get that reoccurring order, some organic sales. They might triple their conversion rates. Yes, there might be a lower margin after all. Yes, you don't own the customer. Those are true statements, but the exposure and the cost per acquisition, I think, is lower overall.
And one other thing I want to talk to you about is the power or the differentiating factors that, in your experience, make merchants successful versus their competitors who might be selling either the identical same product or a similar product at a similar price, a similar shipping promise, etc. What sets one seller apart from another? And as a buyer on Amazon, I can tell you some of the things straight off the bat that have caused me to convert with some sellers and not others. One is ratings and reviews. After filtering for Prime, the next thing I filter for is 4-star reviews plus. That's the second filter. So I filter for Prime, and then I filter for Entrega Gratis, free shipping, plus 4-star plus. So basically anybody who has items that are not at least 4 stars or better, they'll never get a chance to win my. Then if we look beyond that, in Mexico here, most of the listings here in Mexico are only in Spanish. So I literally, and Amazon doesn't provide an inline translator, and they don't provide an inline translator in reviews either, which I don't understand why they don't do that. It would be very easy for them to do that, but I don't know why they don't do that, and I think they should. But I'll tell you, the sellers, because there are millions of North Americans from the United States and Canada living in Mexico now, from all over the world, and they move to a country where the native language is not English. The listings that have both Spanish and English in them, those ones are easier. Instead of me having to copy and paste out the Spanish into an online translator and read that information, read the specs, etc. If I can read those in English, okay, it makes it easier for me to stay on that product page and never leave if they've got both English and Spanish on the product listing information. Second thing, the ones that I usually buy are ones that have more than one image with detail blow-up shots of actually what I'm going to get, and actually in the image set,
Banana for scale.
If it shows the inclusions that I'm actually getting with the item, the actual bundle or the package or the kit or whatever it is, and if it shows the specs in the image. For example, I'm buying a roof rack here. The roof rack, they all have different specs of how much weight they can support. The one that I ended up buying was the one that showed the weight that it supported in the image itself. It actually showed the specs and it showed the sizes. If I look at my own behavior, it leads me to believe that the people that spend more time, more energy, more effort having better product data, better images, videos, spec sheets, languages, to me, even if you have to just copy and paste those Spanish descriptions of your product into an online translator and then copy and paste that English back in, or connect via API, because there's API services that can do this for you now, it feels like there's 3, 4, or 5 very simple things that sellers could do to increase their odds of selling more products.
Chrome as a browser does some auto translation, can be helpful. What I have on the screen here is one of my listings, Age of Sage. I have a daughter who's 5. I built this brand with her image on it. She's the customer avatar. And so what we'll see here addresses a lot of the concerns or the things that you're looking for. Obviously, we've got the reviews, 774 4.4-star reviews. We've got the Amazon's Choice for bath soaps on here. The main image, though, is one of the fastest ways to encapsulate that sale, that transaction. Before you even get to the listing, you have to win the click. CTR, or click-through rate, is the most important, fastest way to grow sales on Amazon today. So what we did with this main image, not only can we see everything that comes in the package, right? So imagine if we had tried to package this up by showing the retail packaging of all 4 of these soaps in a white box. You wouldn't be able to read the ingredients. We got the charcoal, we've got the sea salt, we've got the pear, we've got the lime, and those are attractive to the eye. It adds color. We then showed the soap packaging plus the actual soap, because you wouldn't be able to understand the ingredients or in the look and the feel of the soap if it wasn't outside of the box. So this is something that a lot of soap companies hadn't done historically. And when we showed up on the scene and started doing this, we earned a lot of clicks from this, ran a lot of A/B tests trying to figure out what people would more likely click on, the orientation of the product. Should we do it in a plus sign? Should we do it in a square? Should we do it in a rectangle? Tried all kinds of things to make that happen. The infographics and having somebody smell the soap and have that customer avatar be representative. Oh, by the way, there's more than one type of set. Let me increase my average order value and come over and look at all these other flavors and scents that we have. Show me all of the natural ingredients in an infographic. We got coconut oil and canola and soybean and fragrance. So these are the things that I agree with you can really be beneficial. Throw in a little bit of video on top of that. Maybe parent the items together so you can connect all of the items together. Have subscribe and save so I can get reoccurring orders. Have the bullet points be very meaty and talk to it. I do think the text is for robots and the pictures are for people. So I will set that. I do keyword stuff. But there's brand stories, and look at all this horizontal real estate. There's A+ content. Look at all this vertical real estate. I have to scroll down 3 screens to get to the bottom of that. My favorite module, though, is this product grid where you compare and contrast products. But there's so many marketing measures. And if we had to boil it down to 2 things, it would be this: traffic and conversion. These are the same things that a D2C brand works with. Under traffic, we have CTR, we have SEO, and PPC. And if you don't have a strategy for all three of those, you're not going to have maximum traffic. Over on conversion, we have design, merchandising, copywriting, catalog troubleshooting, which usually throws people off because there's a lot of that.